Hello. We are reluctant to say we just filmed an entire video and did not have our microphone turned on. We're going to do the whole thing again. So here we are. My name's Emily. I am a women's health and pelvic floor physical therapist. I am a birth doula, and I am a yoga instructor.
And I am Taylor, and I am certified through Sleep Sense and the Association of Sleep Consultants, and I just recently got certified for Solve Your Sleep for adults.
Yay! Sleep is so important, you guys. Taylor's about to change my life, so I'm really excited about it. So we're doing a Q&A. We've been collecting questions from you guys. We're just going to answer them here. It won't be terribly long. And, of course, if you guys have more questions, if this brings anything else up in you, please drop it below, and we will do another Q&A, and we will record it with the sound on the first time. I feel confident that next time this won't happen. So here we go. We're just going to go back and forth. Taylor is going to start us off with her first question. Go ahead.
Okay, so the first question is, should you start sleep training during regression or wait? So it really depends on the regression at this point. So the main regression that's actually biological is the 4-month sleep regression. And what happens during this time is a newborn is transitioning from a newborn way of sleep, which is 50% REM, 50% deep, and they're transitioning into adult sleep, which is 4 stages of sleep. And this regression is typically when parents come to me and they need help. So absolutely, you can sleep train during this regression, and I totally recommend that you do. The other forms of regression, they're not really regression, they're progression. And what's happening there is your child is learning a developmental milestone. So they're either learning to crawl or roll or talk or walk. And humans were biologically programmed to practice until we make it perfect, which is exactly what we did with this video.
Yeah, perfect.
So they're going to practice more than they want to sleep. And at that point, it's going to be really challenging for you to sleep train while they're trying to practice. So at that point, I'd give it a couple weeks, wait until they've learned their new skill, and then try to tackle sleep training. And if your child is already sleep trained, I promise you it's only going to be about 1 or 2 weeks, and your blessed angel is going to be sleeping again.
Yes. Mind blown. There's so much to learn, you guys. Okay. Everybody's favorite question to ask me is, what exactly does a doula do? Hear it all the time. I guess I didn't realize people didn't know what doulas were when I went into this. It's kind of funny. So basically, I am a professionally trained birth support person. So whether it be just supporting you, the mama, or whether I'm supporting your partner, if your kids want to be involved in the birth, or whoever your birth support person is, I make sure we're all on the same page, whether it be pain management techniques through relaxation, breathing, positioning for labor, some tactile manual techniques to reduce pain. I could do them. Your partner can do them, what have you. We're just here to support you physically, emotionally, whatever it is that you need. I always disclaim I would not be a medical professional in my work as a doula, even though I'm a physical therapist. When I'm a doula, my doula hat is on, and that is what I do. I would not be checking your cervix or anything like that. But I would be there to support you. And I also love to just let everybody know that doulas are not reserved for those wanting to do an at-home, all-natural water birth. We can help you whether you plan to do it with an epidural. We can be there for a cesarean, which I'll talk about later. We are here to support what you want to do. We are not here to tell you what to do. We want to advocate for you so your birth experience is what you want it to be. So no matter how you want to bring your baby into the world, your doula is there to support whatever it is that you choose.
Perfect. Yeah. I wish I would have known about that.
I wish I had been there.
Alrighty, second question. Best way to transition from a bassinet to a crib? And there are a few ways to do this. And it just really depends on your comfort level and the temperament of your child. So the first way that you can do this, and it's kind of the most gentle way to do it, is if bassinet is next to mom's bed, just every night gradually start moving it away from the bed till you get to the door, and then it's time to put bassinet in baby's room. And then a couple nights in the bassinet in baby's room, and then move into the crib. Second way to do this is to start having them nap in their crib in their own room, but bedtime still be in the bassinet next to mom. And then eventually you can start putting them to bed in their crib. And then the third way to do this, and this would be my vote, is just kind of cold turkey, just right into the crib. If they already kind of know how to sleep and they sleep pretty well, as long as the environment is the same, they should sleep just fine.
Good to know. I don't have a kid. I'm not pregnant. I'm learning so much. And now I'm really excited to do it because I have great resources. Can a doula attend a C-section birth? I love this question. So in short, yes, we can. Now, it's always up to your hospital or the rest of your birth team as to whether they would let the doula come into the OR with you. If I am your only support system, if there's nobody else with you, they would likely let me in. If you have a partner, for instance, your husband, your mom, your best friend, whatever, I likely would not be in there. It's just all different based on the hospital. So if you have a planned cesarean and you're not sure if I would be worth it or not, that would be the first question I would ask. But then from there, there's a lot of waiting time when it comes to any surgery. You know, if you're getting your tonsils out and they tell you to show up at this time where you're not seeing anybody for hours. That's just how healthcare works. So having a doula or a birth support person there with you just through that waiting time can be amazing for relaxation techniques, even helping you position and stay comfortable because you're still going to be pretty pregnant at this point and can want some comfort techniques. I can help your partner, whoever it is that you brought with you, help you stay calm. So there's a lot of things we can do in that waiting period. But even more importantly, where doulas seem to be invaluable when it comes to cesareans, and this is something I didn't even know when I went into my doula training, but I've now seen it. And after you have your operation and baby is born, usually baby goes to the nursery, dad goes with baby, because we know how important it is for, you know, even if you can do skin to skin or just having somebody there with the baby, mom's recovering from a major surgery. So if I'm there with you, I stay with mom. I am the support system that would be with you every step of the way. Getting in and out of bed, getting comfortable, if you need an extra blanket, if you're in pain and need to work on breathing techniques or whatever it is that you need immediately after, if dad or whoever your partner is with you that day is with baby in the nursery, I'm with you and I'm here for you. You just had a major surgery. You need somebody with you, and so I would be that. And then as well, and when baby comes back, if you need support breastfeeding or anything like that, and then, of course, if you had a birth plan, say you did want them to wait a little bit before they cut the cord, if you have any specifications, even if you are having a cesarean, I could be there to help make sure they stick to your plan, whether it be reminding your partner or speaking to medical staff for you as you ask me to. I would never do that without your permission. Just another advocate there for you.
I would have loved that. I had my baby during COVID, and just like you said, my husband, it was an emergency, so my husband went to Children's with my daughter, and I was left to recover alone. And I was not ready for that recovery. It's a major abdominal surgery.
Exactly.
And you have to keep going because you have a baby, so to have someone there for mom would have been awesome.
Exactly. And as Taylor said, hers was an emergency, and I didn't even say, she still went through a lot of the labor process. And so I would have been there with her, keeping her calm, helping her get ready, and when someone says, you know, we need to take you in for a cesarean, it's just another support system telling you it will be okay. You've done everything right for your baby. This is what comes next, and I will be right here when you come out. It's just another sense of comfort and communication during a time that can be really scary.
Yeah, and in my case, my husband was just as nervous as I was, so he couldn't really be the support I needed him to be.
Exactly, which is common, and he is not wrong for that. That's okay. Good.
Alrighty, so what if you have a baby that is a belly sleeper and she hates being on her back? Okay, so the first thing I want to say about this is if your child cannot roll from belly to back or back to belly, please do not put them to sleep on their belly. This is something that when we were little wasn't a thing. Our parents put us to sleep on our belly until the Back to Sleep campaign started. And the reason for that is because if your child is on their belly and they don't have good control over their body yet, what can happen is something called carbon dioxide rebreathing, and that can create SIDS. So it's really important that you're always putting them on their back to sleep. Now let's talk about some of the reasons why your child would want to be on their belly. So the first reason is acid reflux. There are some organic ways that you can deal with this, but of course you can always talk to your pediatrician about medication. All three of my children were on medication. But you can always do eat, play, sleep cycle, making sure that you're pushing the feeds away from sleep so they're not uncomfortable. You can hold them up for 30 minutes in between. If it's middle of the night and they just ate, hold them up for a little bit before you place them down. That'll ease some of the discomfort, but you can always talk to your pediatrician. Second reason why your child might be a belly sleeper is because of their moro reflex. So if you've ever noticed a newborn baby, kind of when you pick them up, they kind of act like they're clinging to life, like, please don't put me down. That is that moro reflex, and they can't help it. They're born with it, and that's why I recommend swaddling. I don't ask that anybody removes the swaddle until somewhere between 8 to 12 weeks, because at that point it then becomes a prop, and usually your child will begin to roll around the 12-week mark. But using that swaddle, it's like the womb, so it makes them comfortable and it keeps from letting that startle reflex kind of make issues for them. The third reason why belly sleep might be a thing in your household is because at this point it could be habitual. So if your child has been sleeping on their belly from the moment you brought them home from the hospital, they're just comfortable that way. So I would recommend putting them back onto their back. They're not going to like it, and it's probably going to be a little bit of a fight for the first 2 or 3 days. But, back sleeping saves lives. So I would really recommend that you put them on their back to sleep. And please do not use any of the positioners or anything that are marketed as helping them sleep. They're not approved by the AAP. They haven't been rigorously tested. Please do not add anything to the crib to make them more comfortable. A baby is comfortable in a swaddle on their back.
Who knew? I didn't. And I love that information. There's just so much.
When I had my first child, I bought everything there was.
Yeah.
I mean, I bought the DockATot, and I had inserts for our bassinet, and I did it all. And I thought because I had the outlet monitor, I was safe. I would be fine.
Exactly.
But I trusted these companies that were selling these high-marketed.
Aren't approved.
Exactly.
It's unbelievable. I didn't know. No, most moms don't know. Sorry,
you're tired. You don't know. You're
you're
doing
tired.
Whatever you have to do to get some sleep. You're not searching the AAP.
No. Well, that's why we have Taylor. She has searched it for us, and she tells us what to do. But it's so true. So that's great knowledge. A time-specific question. Right now, because of COVID-19, are doulas allowed in the hospital? As COVID kind of progressed and all of us were trying to figure out if our jobs were essential or not, doulas were eventually added to the list of essential personnel for birth, labor and delivery. So most hospitals now are letting doulas in. But again, if someone's wanting to hire me on, I say, hey, just call your OB or call your hospital and ask if doulas are allowed. What they're typically saying now is yes, if you want your partner in there with you or whoever your birth support person is, whether it be your mom, your husband, your girlfriend, your best friend, doesn't matter. They can be there, and then I could be there because I'm essential. Now, if you want your best friend and your mom there, that doesn't work so much right now because of COVID, because neither of them are essential professional birth supports. So yeah, for the most part, doulas are allowed in right now. So just check with your hospital, and I'd be happy to help you. COVID births are scary. She knows it. A lot of you know it. So having a doula there with you is great. Also, I do want to mention I have completely virtual services, which are super popular right now with COVID. I could support you completely virtually. So that's always an option too.
Awesome.
Yay.
I love that about our line of work, is that it can be virtual if it needs to be.
We can both be virtual, which is important to say too. We both can do our jobs with you virtually, which is really important.
I mean, I've worked with other people in other countries on different time zones.
It's amazing.
So yeah, it's awesome.
We're accessible.
Okay. How long do you work together? Is payment per session, or how does that work? So the first question, how long do you work together? And that just depends on the package that you buy. My basic package is 2 weeks. My second package is 3 weeks. My fourth package is 4 weeks. But a lot of people also buy yearly support. So I can work with you for up to a year through all of the regressions and all of the milestones. Just really up to the level of support that you need. You know, if your family's not supportive, or maybe you don't have family around and you need someone, I'm there for you. And then the second piece about payment. So typically how I do my payments is the payment needs to be made before I make the sleep plan, before I put all the work into making the sleep plan for your customized child. And what I love about being there for moms is I like to offer a payment plan. And I do this because I never want a mom to have to make a decision about the well-being of her family based on whether or not she can afford it. In my opinion, if you need something that's going to be life-changing and is going to not only help your entire family's immune system, but your mental, therapy as well, I just feel like you should be able to have the means to do that. So I work with clients all the time to come up with a payment plan that works for them.
And what she just said is the most important thing to both of us is we want to be accessible. We want help for moms to be normal and never an issue in terms of payment. And so Taylor saying that really just speaks to why it is that we do what we do. We want to be here for you, whatever that looks like for you. And that's just a problem in healthcare in general in terms of women's health and postpartum care is we just want to be here for you. So that's so great, and that's so important. So she's awesome. Okay, so I'm going to pivot from doula work to pelvic floor work. Like I said, I am a pelvic floor physical therapist. That means I have my doctor of physical therapy degree, and I have some specialized training in the pelvic floor and women's health. That covers a lot of different things. Right now I'm going to speak to the female aspect of it, and we'll get into the rest later. So it's a long answer. Women's health can be the catch-all for anything. So if you're seeing an orthopedic PT for like hip pain or back pain that's not getting better and it's not fitting into their standard mold or protocol, sometimes they'll send you over to me and be like, can you figure out why your hip hurts? A lot of times I can. A lot of times there's a pelvic component. But more commonly, pelvic floor dysfunction such as painful insertion, painful intercourse, pain with peeing, any sort of pelvic pain or lower abdominal pain, any form of incontinence, whether it be with coughing, sneezing, laughing, that's stress incontinence, urgency, meaning you always feel like you have to go, oftentimes paired with frequency, which means you do go all the time. You can have bladder overflow where you're just kind of leaking all day because your bladder isn't sure when it needs to go or not. Painful climaxing, any sort of painful scars or incisions, whether it be an episiotomy or a vaginal tear that's gotten sewn up, a cesarean scar that's gotten sewn up, any abdominal surgery at all, those scars can be really gnarly and can cause a ton of pain. We've talked a lot about this. And then if you have diastasis recti, that's when the abdominal muscles kind of separate as you grow. Sometimes they don't come back together. They can cause a lot of abdominal weakness, of course. We can work on that. And then, of course, during pregnancy, back pain, hip pain, pelvic pain, just wanting to get stronger to deliver. And then all the postpartum care kind of falls into what I already said. Additionally, pelvic organ prolapse. We can work on that too, try to help you avoid surgery. And then any sort of pain management with pelvic floor dysfunction that ties in with endometriosis, PCOS, interstitial cystitis, a lot of things that you wouldn't think of pelvic floor physical therapy for.
And I love that, and I'm learning so much. I just told her earlier that, my mom had all of these issues, and now I do, and I always thought, well, that's just being a mother. That's just the way of life.
Yeah.
But I told her earlier, I'm young, and I don't want to deal with all that stuff all my life, so
You shouldn't have to.
I'm really glad that there is something out there for women.
Absolutely.
Alrighty. So this one's it's not really a question, it's more of a statement, and I have a couple things I can share about it. So sleep training with blackout curtains doesn't fit into our lifestyle because we go a lot of places. That's okay. It doesn't, blackout curtains don't have to fit in your lifestyle. What I love about the sleep industry and how sleep is becoming this huge thing is that a ton of companies are coming out with some great AAP recommended products that help. And so blackout curtains, there's no way you're going to get a blackout curtain in the car when you're doing a nap on the go. There's just not going to happen. So some of the products that I love, Snooze Shade and Slumber Pod, they make awesome products. Snooze Shade actually makes covers for the car seat carrier, for strollers, and for pack and place. I own all three of them, and I love them because they're perfect for naps on the go. And let me tell you a little bit about why I'm an advocate for darkness. So darkness, our bodies know how to sleep. We were created this way. Our body knows what to do to get us to sleep. And a lot of what we do as human beings is we go against the natural ways that our body knows how to sleep. And darkness is a huge piece of that. the way our bodies work is when darkness comes, we create melatonin. Our hormones, we secrete melatonin, and that is what helps us fall asleep and stay asleep. And whenever we introduce light is when we start producing cortisol, the stress hormone that says, hey, get up, it's time to get going. And any sliver of light during sleep can start to decrease those melatonin hormones. And sometimes people don't have an issue falling asleep, but they have an issue staying asleep. It's the same thing with children. Sometimes children should take a 2-hour nap and they're only getting 45 minutes because it's too bright and their melatonin isn't there. So while I can understand that I'm a mom, I get it. You got to go somewhere. You have a life to live. You want to hang out with friends. That's awesome. I love these products because they allow you to have the best of both worlds. They allow you to have a child who sleeps well and is getting the rest that they need while also still living your life. So I'll put these items in the tags later so that you guys can check them out.
I'm learning so much. I hate the dark. And I'm not a good sleeper. So Taylor's teaching me a lot about why I need to be in the dark. And I will listen to her. I will try.
You'll find me a little bit, but
I know, I already have. But we gotta work together. Okay, great question. Can men benefit from pelvic floor PT? Yes. Men suffer from pelvic floor dysfunction. It's super common. It can be erectile dysfunction, pelvic pain, bladder leakage, incontinence, difficulty urinating, constipation, any sort of bowel problems. Yes, it happens. I think that women's health is under talked about. Men's pelvic health is even more under talked about. I don't know if that's an expression. Under discussed. It is what it is. I already said it. But that is a conversation that can and should be had with your urologist. There is help for you. A pelvic floor physical therapist will help you. I disclaim in saying that because of the intimate nature of what I do, I come into the home. I'm not working with men at this time, just for personal reasons. It's just intimate, and I'm coming into your home. But when I worked in outpatient services, I did do that, and most women's health, men's health, pelvic floor clinics will treat you. So please do not be afraid. Do not be embarrassed. Do not be too proud to discuss this with someone. These problems happen for a lot of men, and no one's talking about it. There is help for you. If you want resources, please message me, send me an email, whatever it is, because there is help, even if I'm the person who cannot do it for you at this time. Where we are, at least in Newcastle, Pennsylvania, I know there are people globally who can help you. I've done it. I've seen it happen. You do not have to live with these problems. Okay? There's help.
Love it. Okay. This is probably my favorite question of the day, and it's one that I could probably talk about for hours because I'm super passionate about it, and I've just worked with so many clients who've heard this. So my pediatrician told me that my baby will eventually sleep through the night, so why should I hire a sleep consultant?
Eek.
Well, let's start here. I hate that they say that because it's 100% not true. I have worked with so many toddlers that's what their pediatrician told them they'd eventually sleep through. And guess what? Dad's still sleeping on the floor with the kid, or the kid is still in their bed, so they don't get to have date night or intimacy anymore because guess what? Kid's sleeping with us. So no, they don't just outgrow it. I'm not sure why that's the go-to advice. It's not good advice. It's not even helpful. So let's talk about some of the reasons why I say they're not just going to outgrow it. Some babies rely heavily on props. Some babies struggle with their room being too bright or maybe too warm. Sometimes I find that it's time for them to drop a nap. Sometimes I find that they're just too overtired. Maybe they're not getting enough daytime sleep, or maybe they're struggling with early morning wake-ups. Maybe they're falling asleep while feeding, or they have an association with a particular sleep prop, or any of the combination above. Parents don't always know what the problem with the sleep is, and the fact is that it's very scientific. Everything about sleep is scientific and it's biological, so I don't blame parents for not knowing what's going on. And that's the main reason why I send out the questionnaire. I need to learn everything there is to know about your family and about your child. What does your schedule look like, and how does that affect their sleep? And do they go to daycare or do they stay with grandma? And how much sleep are they getting right now? What do they struggle with the most? Is it naps, early morning wake-ups, or do they wake every hour to feed in the night? My goal is not to get your child sleeping through the night. My goal is whatever your goal is. If you just want your kid to sleep 9 hours at night without waking up, great. If your kid sleeps great, but they wake up too early in the morning and you need help with that, I can help too. Or let's just say they sleep wonderfully at nighttime, wake up at 9 a.m., but they take no naps all day long. Perfect. I can help with that too. It's not, sleep consultants aren't just designated to one area of sleep. We handle it all. And I think the key there is people hire personal trainers when they're trying to work out their body. Sure, they can YouTube it and they can Google it. But everybody is trying to work on something different. And you need someone to support you and to tell you exactly what to do and to help you get results. And that's what I do. I help moms figure out what it is with their child that won't sleep.
And she helps 28-year-old not moms who did not grow out of it.
Right, whose pediatrician probably told them they would grow out of it.
I didn't grow out of it. I didn't grow out of it.
And now that I'm working with adults, I'm seeing that a whole lot more. People have struggled with sleep since they were babies.
Yeah. So there's always something to be learned. Don't just assume your kid's going to grow out of it. That's not good advice. Okay, really fun question. I'm trying to get pregnant. Can pelvic floor physical therapy help with that? And this is something that there wasn't much literature on in past years, but there's a lot of really great up-and-coming research being done on this, some here in our country, a lot in other countries too. Women who are dealing with maybe fallopian tube blockage, endometriosis, PCOS, or just like an unexplained infertility that can't be linked to anything. There's some forms of manual physical therapy that are proving to help. It's kind of amazing. Part of it is kind of like a visceral massage, which is like an organ massage, which sounds horrible. It's not. It doesn't really hurt. It's just kind of probably something you haven't experienced before. But the literature, in short, is indicating that improving mobility of all these organs, increasing their metabolic function, is increasing mom's fertility. And then there's some literature that's even saying just mom having somebody they can go to and talk to and just be touched by is somehow helping, which makes a lot of sense. Just some love, basically, and not just like an injection or a pill or, a prescription of something to try. Which brings me to the final point. Yeah, and it happens to her too with what she does. And the other thing is, while the literature is still, in the works, it's not invasive. There's very little risk with having somebody kind of work on these manual techniques with you that I could do and I'd be excited to do. And we're only doing it maybe once a month, right before you ovulate, making sure everything's moving well, making sure there's no tissue restrictions we need to worry about, making sure you feel like you're in a good place before you try to conceive. If it doesn't go well and your period comes, we'll do it again in your next cycle. And it's just something that to me seems worth a try, and the evidence is really trending upwards that it's helping women get pregnant. And I think that's something really amazing that we can all start working on, that I really want to be a part of that conversation. So, and
a more affordable option than IVF.
And way more affordable.
Why wouldn't you try it?
Yeah, why wouldn't you try it? Less invasive, more affordable. So it's really fun evidence that I think is really going to change healthcare and how women conceive. So yeah, I'm going to say we can help, and we can't guarantee it. Nobody can, and I know that. But I would say it's worth a try, yeah.
All right, so another great question about co-sleeping. So it really just depends on what kind of co-sleeping you're talking about. If you're talking about bed sharing, or are you talking about room sharing? Bed sharing, I won't work with somebody who bed shares. It's not approved by the AAP, and while I know that there are a lot of pediatricians out there who give terrible advice to co-sleep because it's better for breastfeeding and sharing a bed, it's just not safe. There's so many risks there. However, if you're room sharing, which the AAP does recommend room sharing up to 1 year of age, I can absolutely help you sleep train. I have some tips and tricks up my sleeve that I think can really help you to make some progress with sleep training if you're room sharing. And while I didn't keep my kids in my room that long, it doesn't mean you might not. So I'd love to help.
That's so great. And just the things I've learned that I thought were normal just because I've seen other people do them is just mind-blowing, and just speaks again, like, make sure your stuff is approved or at least researched by the AAP, because
yeah, I mean, like I
people
said,
don't know.
I bought it all, and
Yeah.
most of it wasn't safe. Things that are listed as sleepers
Yeah.
aren't safe.
Right. It's
So.
kind of amazing. So yeah, guys, this information is so important. Okay, this is my last question, and it kind of it's going to tie Taylor in at the end. Somebody said, "What's the best timeline for new moms for both their own rehab to health and for sleep training?" So I'll start us off. For pelvic floor physical therapy, I usually don't start, or women's health physical therapy in general, postpartum, I don't start it until 6 weeks. At that point, I think all women would benefit from some sort of core or abdominal strengthening and activation, some sort of pelvic floor work. If you've had a cesarean or you have any scars or incisions that have healed, the sooner I get my hands on them to make sure they're soft and they're mobile and they're not causing me pain, the better. I can do my best work the sooner I get it under my hands. So for me, it's usually the 6 week mark. And I think it's so important to let you guys know that all of these problems that you might be having postpartum are common. They are not normal. If you've had a discussion with me, you know I say that. We have somehow normalized complications where we should be normalizing getting help for them. If you have chronic headaches, while they might be really common, you know something's not normal. You know it's not the standard, so you go get help for it. And somehow we've normalized incontinence and pelvic pain and not being able to have sex without pain, and that's not okay. So I want to help with that. And part of that normal timeline after why I say that 6 week mark is because that's when it's time for mom to check in with herself and say, I'm caring for a new human. Life is crazy. What am I doing? Where's the built-in time for mom? There's none in our, in the United States, in our postpartum care. There's nothing built in for mom, where in other countries, especially in Europe, pelvic floor and women's health physical therapy and birth support and mental health support postpartum is guaranteed. Every mother gets it, whether they need it or not. And that's how they're having better outcomes, and they're having less instances of incontinence and stuff like that. So I want to help be that for you. You should have time to take care of yourself. It should be built into your postpartum journey. So yeah, I'll step down from the soapbox. Common, not normal.
So my last question ties in with that as well. Somebody asked about when can I start sleep training my child. Mm-hmm. You can start with healthy sleep habits from the day you bring your child home from the hospital. I actually have a newborn sleep guide on my website. I have a couple guides on there that might be helpful for you. And it's just really about focusing on what does our body need in order to sleep well. So you can save yourself a lot of headache if you start from day one. But I don't actually start working to sleep train or sleep teach a child until they're about 3 or 4 months old, and they hit that regression. I get a lot of parents who come to me once they hit that regression because their angelic sleeper is no longer sleeping.
Oh, man.
But just like she said, I get so many clients who feel guilty hiring me because their best friend told them that they're lucky that their 8-week-old sleeps a couple hours at night, or that their 8-month-old sleeps 8 hours consolidated. No. You should never have to feel guilty for wanting sleep for yourself or wanting better for your child.
Right.
I think it's so natural that mothers just kind of get put on the back burner. We're not really noticed after birth. And, people come to our house after we have babies to see the baby, but they're not really asking how mom is.
No.
And so it's the same thing with sleep training. People feel guilty about doing it, and they act like, why would I put the investment into that when everybody says I'm lucky? They're sleeping okay. Okay isn't good enough. Just like she said, it's common. It's not normal. Yeah. People need their sleep, or they become 28-year-olds who don't sleep.
It's not a cute look, you guys. I don't love it.
Yeah, I mean, it's you need it for your immune system. You need it for your brain and for your development. It's definitely worth the investment to make sure that your child is having that sleep, just like it is to make sure that you're having your postpartum care.
Yes. That's all she wrote. Guys, thank you so much. Thanks for the questions. Like we said, if anything sparks an interest, please drop us the comments wherever it is that you're watching it. Ask more questions. Send us a message. We just want to help you.
Absolutely.
So if you have questions, ask them. We just want to be another resource for you. We will be linking the products Taylor mentioned below or tagging them. And that's it. Thanks for watching.
Thank you. Bye.